Hi, everybody. Welcome to our chat this week. My name is Colleen Cox, and this week I read the K through 12 Horizon 2016 Horizon Report.
And I'm Rachel Lockhart, and I read the 2018 Higher Education Edition.
I am Stephanie Herod. I read the 2016 K through 12 Horizon Report this week. And I'm going to start us off. One of the sections in the report that I found interesting, I've read about in previous reports, but this one brought to light a different issue that I wasn't aware of. And the topic was online learning. And in this section, it talked about how with the incorporation of online learning, some schools are seeing a decrease in dropout rates because students are able to tailor their educational experience to their needs. And for some reason, like this just didn't even cross my mind, how students have way more going on outside than I even realized. And taking a step back, I was like, oh yeah, I have heard my kids say, yeah, I did have to work last night. And I'm like, maybe online is an option. But it just really opened my eyes to how beneficial it could potentially be for some of our students. But at the same time, I was like, do they still have access to like a human teacher in addition to the computer? So that's what I read, and the ITSD standard that I connected it to was standards for educators to be advocate for equitable access to educational technology, digital content, and learning opportunities to meet diverse needs of all students.
Okay, so when I read the 2016 report, I focused more on the virtual reality article, and that was interesting to me because I think when we hear virtual reality, we may drift more towards video game systems now. Like PlayStation has a virtual reality, a lot of smartphones have that virtual reality component. But when you're taking it into the classroom, there's a lot of different opportunities for our kids to gain experiences from it. I made a connection in the article. I don't know if you guys researched one of the platforms that's out there called Nearpod. And Nearpod has a lot of those virtual reality lessons with it. So if your school can get that, that was what I was kind of excited about. It's part of the paid version though. So some of the opportunities that can are that have all good, right?
Sorry, barky dogs.
Okay, so schools that may have less money for labs or science materials, they can actually do labs where students are dissecting animals, studying different parts of the body, conducting experiments. So if a school lacks a lab, they're able to do this online, which is pretty neat. Another thing that was in the article about like visiting landmarks or museums around the world. Obviously, you can't take your class to Paris to go to the Louvre to look at various artworks there, but there are 360-degree angles of the museum, and I guess they filmed the entire museum from all these different angles, so you can take your whole class there to do a scavenger hunt in the museum. So while you're able to go there, it's kind of the next best thing for your class. And visiting landmarks. So if you're in second grade and your TEKS are national landmarks like the White House or Mount Rushmore, you can have kids put on the virtual reality and actually be standing in front of Mount Rushmore and turn around and see what is never in our textbook, and see what's next to it, what's to the side of it. And that made me excited and made me kind of want to like be in the classroom and use this. And Samsung actually has a cardboard virtual reality set that you can buy for $15 if you have a smartphone or device or smartphone with limited access. It doesn't have to be the latest and greatest phone, but a more recent one. And the ITSE standard that I connected that to was the administrative one, where it was more about digital citizenship. So looking at, I just lost it. Sorry. Oh, 5D, model and facilitate the development of a shared cultural understanding and involvement in global issues through the use of contemporary communication and collaboration tools. So I picked that one just because it gives that global standard, and let's say you want to study global problems, you can go to different places in the world that may have like, I'm thinking of the cities like in India that have they're like just built on garbage and people live in these, and you can kind of see that or get to experience that. So there's just a lot of different capabilities with VR that are really intriguing and interesting.
And it provides them with like really concrete thinking. So it just makes it very visual for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's funny you bring up Nearpod. I actually used it. I used to use it every year teaching. I did the virtual VR field trip before they took it away or made it like you had to pay. So the kids would go on a field trip to like Mars and New York, Times Square and the Louvre and get to see like and do the 360, and they loved it. And I actually made my own Nearpod that I taught rhetorical fallacies with. So they enjoyed doing the like, there's like little in between things like drawing and you like, so I did bandwagon, they had to draw what like something, somebody getting on the bandwagon about something. But Nearpod has a lot of options. That's really cool. And so it's funny you were talking about virtual reality, because I read about mixed reality, which is kind of like the layering of virtual reality on top of the physical world. So an example that I know of, one of my coworkers has been attending these things through the Alamo, where you go to the Alamo, and as you look around, you're like, you can participate in the battle of the Alamo. Like while you're there looking at where the things actually are, and you could see in the battle where they were compared to where they are now. So there's some really cool stuff that they're doing with that. Some other things that they talked about was the fact that they researched it, and the brain's response to VR and mixed reality is actually like the same as an actual event. So it's like the kids are experiencing it. And there's actually a university in Illinois who are, the students are the ones designing virtual experiences. So I thought that was neat, because it's not just participating in it, but they're like making them. And for the record, I tried VR this week because my coworker has a STEAM club, and I hate it. So just so you know, if you get motion sickness, not a good thing.
Oh, I didn't even think about.
Yeah, so like, because you don't move, but it's moving on the screen, so I got nauseous right away. So, and then going back to Stephanie's, you talked about online learning, and another section was about adaptive learning technologies in higher education. So a lot of universities are creating these like personalized programs to allow students to like, there's one national university in California that they have a rolling entrance or a rolling like admission. So every month, whoever applies can just start that month, and they just start their program. So like there's no like set dates, like semesters, you just do it as you go. And
I think it would make it easier for kids to sign up that way.
Exactly.
I think some kids might, hesitate, like, oh, I missed the date, so forget it, and then they won't. But it just makes it really flexible.
Exactly, for wherever you go. Sorry, Stephanie, were you going to say something?
No, Colleen took the words right out of my mouth. Like that was
Okay.
exactly what I was going to say.
Awesome. Yeah, they actually were talking, and then Oregon State created chemistry labs that can be personalized for the students. So the labs have actually made tuition go down because they don't have to buy all these like labs for every single like everything is so personalized that tuition of some of the institutions are going down. So I just thought that was really cool, and they're focusing on like really using that adaptive learning to see the progress of the students and where they go or where they're going and what they still need. So it helps with students that are falling behind and ones that are ahead. So like the ones that don't need all the remedial stuff, they can just get in and get done. So I just thought that was really neat. My ISTE standard for this week is the Educators 2 Leader one, and it's the same one, Stephanie, you did. 2B, advocate for equitable access to educational technology, digital content, and learning opportunities to meet the diverse needs of all students. Just because the personalized learning of this adaptive technology, I thought really fit with that because it's meeting the needs of all the students.
I agree.
All right, ladies. Well, we got to wrap up. So it was good chatting with everybody this week.
You as well.
You as well. And we will see you next week for our final presentation.
I know.
All right. Bye, ladies.
Bye.